आजादी के दीवानों ने।
तो ये गाना अच्छा बन गया है, बहुत ही अच्छा बन गया है। मैं भी एज शक्तिमान खुश हुआ उसको देख।
अबे चुप।
What is up, amigos? Hope you're doing well. You know, Shaktiman wasn't just a superhero, he was a part of our childhood. He stood for justice, truth, and everything good. Mukesh Khanna, the man who played Shaktiman, became a symbol of righteousness for an entire generation. But times change and so do people. Over the years, Mukesh Khanna has made headlines not for inspiring us, but for controversial and problematic statements that have left many of us shocked. Now today let's talk about why Mukesh Khanna's attempt to bring back Shaktiman might just end up ruining the legacy of the character we all once loved. You know, back in the 90s and the early 2000s, Shaktiman was more than just a TV show. For us, he was the ultimate superhero. An Indian hero who fought against evil not just with powers but with moral values. Shaktiman taught us life lessons about honesty, kindness, and standing up for what's right.
वाली है त्योहार उजाले का, रोशनी का, अंधकार से लड़ने वाले प्रकाश का। और प्रकाश में न तो कोई आवाज होती है, न धमाका होता है, न ही कोई शोर शराबा। फिर क्यों जलाते हो ये बम, ये रॉकेट, ये धमाकेदार पटाखे? छोड़ दो इन्हें, दुश्मनों से लड़ने वाले हमारे जवानों के लिए।
Now Mukesh Khanna played the role perfectly because he had the image of someone trustworthy, someone who stood for the same ideals as the character of Shaktiman. But let's be honest, back then we didn't know much about Mukesh Khanna as a person. We only saw Shaktiman on screen and his off-screen views didn't make headlines. That worked in his favor. He fit the role because we didn't see anything that contradicted what Shaktiman stood for. But now, his statements and actions tell a completely different story. Let's talk about some of his controversies that changed everything. Firstly, the misogynistic views. One of Mukesh Khanna's most shocking statements was about the Me Too movement. He said the problem of Me Too began when women started working. Think about that for a second. Really, I mean, in his mind, the solution to harassment is for women to stay at home.
औरत का काम है घर संभालना। जो माफ करना, मैं कभी कभी बोल भी जाता हूँ कि प्रॉब्लम कहाँ से शुरू हुई है मी टू की भी, कि जब औरतों ने भी काम करना शुरू कर दिया। आज औरत मर्द के साथ कंधे से कंधा मिलाकर चलने की बात करती है, लेकिन मैं आपको बता दूं प्रॉब्लम यहीं से शुरू होती है। वो जब से शुरुआत हुई, उसके शुरुआत में ये सब चीजें होनी शुरू हुई कि मैं भी वही करूंगी जो मर्द करता है। नहीं, मर्द मर्द है, औरत औरत है। आपका शुरुआत से एक बनाया।
How does someone even say something like this in today's world, where women are fighting for equality and respect in every field? Shaktiman taught us to respect everyone, to fight against injustice. Can you imagine Shaktiman saying something like this? Of course not. But the man who played him did. And that's where the problem begins. Mukesh Khanna's views don't just feel outdated, they feel like an insult to everything Shaktiman once stood for. Moving on to another one of his problematic statements, the sexual desire statement that he put out. If the previous misogynistic statement wasn't enough, Mukesh Khanna made another jaw-dropping statement saying that women who openly express sexual desire are not decent and are essentially doing business.
लड़की अगर किसी लड़के को कहे कि I want to have sex with you, वो लड़की लड़की नहीं है, वो धंधा कर रही है। लड़की लड़की नहीं है, वो धंधा कर रही है।
This is something he actually said, and he even posted it on his YouTube channel proudly. In a world where we're trying to break free from regressive mindsets and talk openly about human desires and emotions, Mukesh Khanna takes us straight back to the Stone Age. Shaktiman stood for equality, fairness, and understanding. How can someone with such a judgmental and narrow view of women even think of reviving a character like Shaktiman? It is not just hypocritical, it is absolutely damaging. damaging. And of course, moving on to next, his anger and overreaction sometimes, be it his political views or about a certain movies, these aren't just limited to social issues. His over-the-top criticism of movies also shows and reveals how out of touch he is. There have been many rants from him about many movies. I don't want to take names and get into any sort of this, but he's talked about so many things, and he's essentially a troll himself. Now, if you make something like this, how can you expect somebody else not to troll you? And this is not something that is expected from you, who once played a symbol of peace and justice. He has also reportedly attacked the Kapil Sharma show, calling it vulgar and the worst show on TV. Now, you may or may not enjoy Kapil's humor, but this show clearly resonates with millions of people. Mukesh Khanna's tone, however, comes across as bitter and unnecessarily harsh. Instead of engaging in constructive criticism, he sounds like someone stuck in the past, unable to adapt to today's world, and turning into a troll himself. Now, here's the truth. Mukesh Khanna no longer represents the values that made Shaktiman so special back then. Shaktiman was about progress, hope, and making the world a better place. Mukesh Khanna, on the other hand, is stuck in regressive ideas and controversies that alienate the very audience Shaktiman is supposed to inspire. He may talk about freedom fighters, but it doesn't change the way he thinks and the way he talks about women or any other problematic things. Today's viewers are much more aware. They don't just look at a character, they look at the person behind the character as well. When they see Mukesh Khanna, they don't see Shaktiman anymore. They see a man who has made sexist, offensive statements, a man who lashes out at anything that doesn't align with his rigid views.
शक्तिमान कौन बनेगा वो मैं डिसाइड करूंगा, एक्टर नहीं.
Bringing Mukesh Khanna back as Shaktiman would only harm the legacy of the character. Instead of reminding us of the hero we once loved, it would bring unnecessary baggage and controversy. Shaktiman definitely deserves better than that. Now, if Shaktiman really is to return, it needs to be done right. The character needs a fresh face, someone who understands the values of today's world and can carry forward the legacy without dragging it down. Shaktiman's message of truth and justice is timeless, but the person delivering that message needs to evolve with times. Mukesh Khanna stepping aside isn't about disrespecting him or his contribution. It's about protecting the character he helped create. It's about ensuring that Shaktiman remains a symbol of hope and progress, not controversy and division. And in between all of this, Mukesh Khanna even posted an update on X giving an explanation. Now let me just read the first point of the so-called explanation. He says, and I quote, "Firstly, why should I say I will be the next Shaktiman? I'm already the Shaktiman. There would be another Shaktiman only when there is a Shaktiman. And I am that Shaktiman. Without me, there can not be other Shaktiman. Since as Shaktiman, I have to create the legacy of Shaktiman." I kid you not, I have read this multiple times and I could not make head or tail of this. It sounded more like this.
Me is only sitting as me in you. These two only is talking to each other. Understand, I can only talk to me and give my understanding. I cannot talk to anybody else and give my understanding. So the me resides in this as me, is residing in all of that as me. So that me, through this me, talking to me.
Now to conclude this video, I just want to say Shaktiman was and still is an icon for many of us, but heroes don't belong to the actors who play them forever. They belong to the people who believe in them. Mukesh Khanna's actions and statements over the years have made it very clear that he no longer aligns with what Shaktiman stood for. It's time to let that character grow and evolve with a new face and new values that match the world we live in today, because Shaktiman deserves better, and so do we. I would really like to know what you think. Should Mukesh Khanna step away from Shaktiman, or do you believe he can still do justice to the role? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like and share this video if you agree that Shaktiman deserves a fresh start. Subscribe to the channel for more discussions like this. Thank you for watching today, and bye-bye.